Can you use Adobe Express to create images? Find out now.
It's it for teachers and students to explore, opening doors to knowledge and more.
I got this letter from one of our teachers here at Armstrong Elementary, the wonderful Miss Morgan, and she was asking if we can use Adobe Express to create images. And yes, you absolutely can. So I'm going to show you what you can use it for in all of your classes. First, click on Adobe Express. Just type it into your preferred search engine. You're going to get a screen like this. Go to the waffle. Click on Adobe Express. And right here, this is where we're going to be focusing. This is where you generate images. We'll get into these other sections a little bit later, not in this video. But right here, simply type whatever you want to create. Let's say, for instance, we want a dragon flying through, say they spell it wrong. Kids do that often. Space. It's pretty good at figuring out what the spelling is. It takes a couple of seconds to generate. It's pretty quick. If you didn't know, Adobe Express is tied to a Firefly model, and it is a decent model. And there you go. You have your image. You can use this in your classroom however you would like. You can also use it digitally, print it out if you want. It gives you a few options as well, just over here on the side. And you can make all kinds of adjustments to it. We'll get into that in another video. How can you use it in your classroom? There's my example, a dragon flying through space. Let's say you're in reading, character reading prompt. I typed in this prompt, a robot with a purple fish head holding a tennis racket. Let's say you want to write about something. You want to write about, so here's something that I created. There's your fish. It's a purple robot. It's holding a tennis racket. You can use that in reading. Maybe you create a short story around it for writing. It's totally up to you. Kids can now be super creative. Maybe you're doing a lesson on setting. So this prompt is, I need a water cycle landscape with evaporation, condensation, precipitation, groundwater, and runoff from the mountains. Here's another example. It doesn't show precipitation or evaporation, but your kids can use this image to add to their story. They can add precipitation to their picture. They can draw on it if they want to. You want to print it out. You could put it in something and add effects to it, which we'll talk about in another video. Maybe they're doing something related to personification, a personified taco at a disco party. So what does that look like? Yeah, there we go. Personified taco at a disco party. You can cover personification. There's a million different things you can cover. Here's another example, maybe as a math prompt, geometric patterns for a symmetry lesson. Maybe you're covering symmetry. Not too bad. It didn't give multiple items that I wanted, different shapes. It did give one. Pretty cool. Maybe you're doing science and you're covering ecosystems. You need alien plants and alien animals. This is what it gave us. It gave us an alien landscape. There are no aliens in here. You can possibly add that to it if you work on the prompt. Sometimes you have to be very specific with the prompt to get exactly what you want. Sometimes Firefly recognizes it and sometimes it doesn't. Here is one for a combination of art and history. Now, I wanted it to create a cubism, if you're in art, which cubism took place in the early 1900s, 1907-ish to 1914, somewhere around there, at the same time as women's suffrage. So I asked it for this prompt, and What I found was that sometimes certain keywords it will consider inappropriate, like suffrage. I assume suffering is what the word is, but here is sort of cubism, and there are the women protesting. You can see their sign. So you can incorporate history or art or both. And the last thing here is, before I get into my mascot, is prompt adherence. Onomatopoeia, it doesn't always do a good job if you give it just a vague word. This is not an onomatopoeia that I can think of. I do not see bang or zoom or anything like that, but you have to think a little differently when you're entering those types of words. Something wacky like a man carrying a horse. It did not work out. It was a horse carrying a man, so that didn't work. And then the last one here is Mickey Mouse. So if you're trying to do something that's been trademarked, it will not generate Mickey Mouse. It didn't give me anything at all. You kids will figure that out quickly. Over here, a mascot is also something you can create. I created this character. I'll show you how to animate it a little bit later. This is Skippy D. I'm sure you've heard your kids saying Skibbity, but this is our take as Skippy D, not trademarked. So I'm going to be working with this, and you'll see this in a lot of videos this year. Students are pretty excited about it. So you can create a class mascot as well. There are so many great things you can do with this tool. Hope you test it out and have a lot of fun with it, and hope your kids have fun too. All right, thanks for watching.